party moves on to Overpass. Vince, we've got TeamOne and we've got Cloud9, and we have the favorites trailing by 1. But it was Dust 2, where TeamOne hold an 80% win percentage, and you could say the same thing about Cloud9 here on their map choice. So maybe it's just meant to be that third map, perhaps. But I think that, well, the boys in the server will have something to say. And ultimately, they determine where this series goes.
They do, and it wasn't a map that went convincingly, I would say. TeamOne definitely had their moments, but considering that Cloud9 had a 7-1 lead at the very beginning of the map, and even at the end, OC's 1v3 clutch, I honestly thought was going to be the difference maker to getting Cloud9 across the finish line. TeamOne then bounced back, so it was a map with a lot going on in it. Maluk, the top fragger from the previous round, is going to be called upon to kick things off, and he is going to go down pretty easily in the end. Cloud9 barreling their way through towards Connector. They have decisions to just push onto the B side, and that's exactly what they're going to go for, but they're walking into a crossfire, and Barton with the USP is going to put down 3 frags, all headshot, and that could be it for the round. OC's the last to fall, and Barton with a 4K. Considering they lost Maluk first, they then went on flawless afterwards.
Just all headshot kills. I mean, the first 2 are crisp. The third one is clean. The fourth one's labored, but we got there in the end. I think the fact that it's the last bullet in the magazine kind of adds to the impact of it. Cloud9, you know, when they were kind of stepping up a level at the start of 2020, DreamHack Leipzig, you know, kind of was their beginning of the year. DreamHack Open, you know, this is when we've gone halfway around the circle. And, well, they used Overpass as their map pick. I believe even going on to Katowice just a couple of weeks later, perhaps. Again, using Overpass as kind of their constant map pick, and the T sides would sometimes betray them. But I'm talking about events that occurred 6 months ago. So you would hope that any issues should be smoothed out, especially considering the edge they should absolutely have over top of the individuals of TeamOne. Floppy's looking for the jump spot, and, well, it's there. Just not yet presenting his head. Pace's going to play it a little bit safer as to ensure his existence. Modem falls back off at the top of bathroom, so now A site is in question. TeamOne, oh, they move a third player up, but just as he gets there, Floppy connects. And now they start to stress, because there is a world where 5 Ts are about to run rampantly through your bomb site. TeamOne, they better hang on for dear life.
Hang on with both hands, but it may slip away anyway. Sonic with 2 deagles. Rips straight into the site, gutting out the defense, and now TeamOne will be looking to just save their guns. Cloud9, the best possible retort. They're just slipping out of the pistol. I say slip out, to be fair, they got blown out with the pistol. So to come back straight away, not lose anybody, pick up a ton of weapons from your opposition, it doesn't get much better than this. The only way it could get a little bit better is if they can deny these 2 weapons from TeamOne and pick them up, but it's not looking good. Floppy, aggression, I say that, but he actually instantly takes down Barton. And even though he's lost his life, he's not going to care because OC is there to deliver the fatal blow and trades up to the M4. What a nightmare result for TeamOne.
Yeah, thanks for the rifle, nerds. Fomus and an M4 picked up. Floppy just blowing the brains out of Maluk. And listen, I saw TeamOne do these kinds of scary moves versus Furia, Vince. Sometimes they would go for like the jump spot. I remember particularly Ivy on train as the CT side, just kind of like jumping around, assuming that you can dodge the bullets of your opponents. But that is to assume that their aim is not good enough to catch you while you're defenseless. And while Floppy didn't quite get that opening down on the B site, you had jump spotting going on in both B and A. I don't know about the comfort of TeamOne on a map like Overpass, but when I'm playing T-side Overpass and I see people jump spotting as opposed to taking control with utilities and set pieces, dude, that's just waiting to get wrecked in a situation like that. Sure, it all hinges on a miraculous deagle shot. If Floppy doesn't connect the first one, then the B site maybe is held more easily, but regardless, in the end, they kind of gift it to him. Give away an inch and they'll take a mile type moment. Barton, well, he also has a deagle, and clearly so does Pesa. Both these teams just rocking heads with these Deagle plays. Back-to-back rounds where the Desert Eagles get the majority of the kills over top of the guns. And now it's a man advantage with the CTs having the majority of their defense here on A.
The only thing working in Cloud9's favor is that TeamOne have been unable to pick up any of those fallen weapons. They still have 2 smokes and flashes to play with, and they're going to be walking slowly, raw onto the site, not giving their position away, not telegraphing it. Now they've been spotted. This is where the utility can come into play. Smoking off on the bin, and could go for that second smoke into bank area. Floppy using the smoke, though, to just peer in there, knowing that he was momentarily vulnerable while his teammate got the bomb plant, but MOTM goes in for 1. There's the second frag as well. Molbs just needs to land a shot with a deagle, and this round is done, and he can't do it. MOTM with a 4K. And those heroics from Pacer on long, it was such a nice effort, but it's going to come up short.
Just barely. Another big showing. We've had the big heroics from TeamOne across the first map. Now Cloud9's giving it back to him here on Overpass. Hell, I say on the last map, Barton, he kicked this whole entire second map off with that 4K. So clearly, everybody has the potential. But in this round, it should be nothing but Cloud9 walking through. Sorry. Stomping over TeamOne. They'll go for their B site stack. Not looking to get too proactive either, just playing responsively and responsibly. Minimizing risk and hoping that they can get something for their minimal efforts. Stack site and wait. And Cloud9 very clearly showing respect to the possibility of having CTs tucked in all of these nooks and crannies. But now that JT has the bomb, I'm assuming we're going to get a clump of Ts working towards the A site. And an easy third round to start this T side.
Definitely appears to be that way. Seems like TeamOne have imploded after winning the pistol. And Cloud9 going to be setting up just outside the site. Floppy does well to mitigate the flashbang, but just gets overran from CTs that can now look to try and save that AK. Maybe denied, though, on those endeavors. Sonic puts down PRT, MOTM also chipping in, and now Sonic can spray up the rest. Solid work from Cloud9. Their money's starting to build nicely, but TeamOne are going to have a buy. The downside, no one can afford an AWP. So it's going to be with M4s, maybe dipping down to a little bit lower if they want to get more utility out. So far, they have no kits in play. Maluk has that option, decides against it. So M4s, solid. But again, TeamOne have their back against the wall on their CT side.
I look forward to having Maluk back on the op. He gave us a star-studded performance in the opening of the series. PRT finds the better timing versus JT. And Pesa, well, he's ready to wide swing on the playground in case this Fountain player is compromised. It's going to boil down to the communication. OC, he knows that there's a possibility for it, so he doesn't want to turn his back, but he's going to have to. Clears the player off of Party. Modem gets the one on Fountain, but that MAC-10 shouldn't be enough to follow up. And Malbs, he makes an active play down into the connector. Sonic, he may think that he has to slip through this B site, but Barton is so prepared, or so it seemed. He looks away just as smoke fades, and Sonic rocks his world, getting this B site under wraps and then some. Going forward into and under the CT side, or at least what's left of them. Sonic goes for the peak. Excellent headshot. Sonic has saved the day. But it's not over. It's not over until it's over. Malbs 19 health. Sonic on 100. He drops and tries to give the cover of the sound. Then the flash pops, and Malbs right then, right there, clutches for TeamOne. Despite Sonic's best efforts, we are getting a show and a half already on Overpass. Another multi-frag out of one of these players, and this time it's Malbs.
Beautiful play from the young Guatemalan, but the issue is they lost 4 players because of Sonic's heroics. So going through, even though Malbs has had such a good round there, you're going to see the effect it has on their economy. 2 MP9s of FAMAS. Cloud9 coming through with a much better buy. There can be no mistake. They even have an AWP. So TeamOne, maybe with this mobile weaponry, gonna go aggressively, gonna try and take the fight to Cloud9, not allow them to get comfortable. We know that TeamOne have no issues pressing W and holding down, but Floppy's gonna hold down the spray. And Pacer can W himself all the way to the grave. Cloud9 now aggressively pushing out with Sonic, but he's all alone. This is more of a ruse, more of an interference play. If he can get some kills on B, that could force an over-rotation, and he's done just that, chopping off the head of Bartin. Exquisite entry, and now the rest of the team can try and pivot off that. TeamOne not going to go in too fast, and Floppy, wide swinging, takes out Mobs. The hero of the previous round has fallen, and with his death, the round will likely fall into place for Cloud9. TeamOne just want to save.
Stellar stuff. And now the cost really apparent. He's talked about it. 4 kills versus TeamOne in that last round. If it wasn't for Mob's heroics, it would have slipped through their fingertips and they wouldn't have even had this chance. But they didn't stand much of a chance. You can check out the HP bars for Cloud9. Only 4 health missing from Modem. They are absolutely going to hunt down these last 2 counter-terrorists. Once the 2 players from Cloud9 get onto that A site, they're going to continue this pinch. A FAMAS and an MP9 to be saved. Definitely worth its value. Here it is. They know exactly where they're at. Going to try to pressure it, jumping across, serving as distraction, and he gets them both. JT clearing the guns from TeamOne and just throwing them back down into the pistols. They wouldn't have had much more to work with here in the 7th anyways, but it is just nice for Cloud9 to know in the back of their minds that there's not even going to be one weapon scattered across the field.
Just the ashes of TeamOne CT side, it would appear, being scattered. Now Cloud9, they do like to play quite passively in these anti-ecos, understandably. Wait for the TeamOne roster to push into their crosshairs. JT gonna get rewarded with the first, can't quite land the spray, but OC and the rest of the troops should fall into place. Bartin tries to spill out towards balloons from middle. He gets shut down, and the only casualty is JT. So a fast anti-eco, TeamOne will be able to buy, but again, they're in a similar situation to a couple of rounds ago, where okay, this time they could afford an AWP, but it would be PRT on a glass cannon, and he doesn't want to take that sacrifice. So it feels to me, Scrawny, that TeamOne, they're getting buys, but it never feels comfortable for them.
I'm going to just sidetrack this conversation, but I'm just going to say it, man. There is a world where Cloud9 absolutely tear apart this CT half. I mean, this is their comfort pick, Vince. This is where they should absolutely shine. So let's see if the defense back in with guns has something to say about it. So far, so good. PRT comes up from the connector, and I will eat my words the same way Cloud9 just ate all of those gunshots. My man, they are chasing Maluk through the bathrooms, but so tunnel visioned on him that PRT pops up and just drop kicks them back into their spawns. I don't think they're in the clear just yet, but I think Cloud9 were just a victim of their early success, thinking that they could just trudge headstrong into the defense. They had 0 connector control in that moment. Look for them to spread out into a more default type situation, especially as OC has that off. So think about the way they were playing versus the anti-eco. It was so safe, Vince. There was so many layers to the procedure to make sure that they wouldn't die out to any kind of pistol tucked in bathrooms or something like that. We get a gun round, and Cloud9 just charged 5 players past bathrooms, not even looking back at connector. So that's a reminder. They're going to have to settle into this, and if they settle into it and play textbook, I will stand by what I said in that Cloud9 will take control of this first half. Start charging too strong in an attempt to write TeamOne off, and you will pay the price. Clearly seen in that 8th round. So they trail by 2. But again, we got this nice early spread from the T side. The only real threat's Maluk, and he walks into the counter sniper. This is what I'm talking about. Leave OC to get that opening pick, and then watch TeamOne scramble.
Cloud9 maybe humbled a little bit in that previous round, and now he spoke about scramble. That's exactly what's came into effect. And TeamOne gonna pay the penalty, gonna pay the price. Barton, last man standing over on B, now has some cavalry charging in, but is he gonna get speared beforehand? He does, but at least takes a kill with him. It won't be enough to justify PRT clutching this, but MOTM just charging straight in may give him an avenue back into this round. AK-47 in hand, PRT awkwardly flashes himself. It's gonna do nothing but stall his endeavors. And now, maybe if a pixel presents itself, he could get a couple of 1v1s in play if Cloud9 makes some big blunders. They did blunder the start of Dust 2, so maybe there are ways back in yet. PRT wide swinging, but Floppy is there. And even if Floppy doesn't take him down, there were two more players ready to wide peek and neutralize. TeamOne back into an awkward position economically, and that last round that went so quickly in favor of TeamOne has quickly backfired. And it feels like a bit of deja vu here, Scrawny. TeamOne eco.
Yeah. I wish I would have waited to say what I did about Cloud9's T side until just one round later. You know, I didn't anticipate them just trying to strong arm through TeamOne. But again, I think you can compare and contrast the last two rounds and see the better approach for Cloud9. Does TeamOne have the individual levels? I mean, hell, at times they look just straight up better. We'll see with the deeds. But at the top of the staircase lies PRT, dropping Floppy, getting an AK. Of course, Modem, he has killed himself in the mix of it all. A second chance for Barton down here on the toxic barrels. It was only Sonic. And we've seen Sonic find hard entries to this B site, opening it up for the bomb carrier to come on over. This round, the same unfolds yet again. Maluk, he comes out from graffiti. Bomb not quite yet planted. Sonic, he's gonna get gunned down. Maluk, he slipped through the defense in terms of timing. OC having to keep his head on a swivel, but where is Paysta? He comes in from behind. Perfect timing, good damage, and he almost gets it done. But JT with sub half health will take that 7th round for Cloud9.
A couple moments there, Scrawny, where I thought it was going to happen. I thought that impaired push was going to yield so many results for TeamOne, but as it stands, they take the economy down a little bit on players like MOTM, who actually killed himself with a Molotov, by the way, in Connector. It was a very awkward exchange, got tagged down heavily, then his molly just spread at the last second. TeamOne do have a buy. This time it's going to be an AWP from the Luke. And Barton with his M4, going to come head-to-head with Sonic, who pushes through the smoke. A flashbang went out as well, but the T's instantly neutralizing Barton and Molbs with MOTM and Floppy. Tag teaming their way into the site. Maluk's been forced off. He's been fragged by OC, who gets his 2nd in a row. And this CT side is capitulating. And as well as Maluk did on Dust 2, he has just not really had any chances to have impact on this off.
Because Cloud9 are the masters of Overpass, Vince. You know what I think it plays into? I think a lot of it plays into utility usage. If you look at the statistics behind Cloud9's flashbangs, it's impressive. I think that, you know, this is why Overpass is my favorite map. Open skyboxes, the ability for fast rotations, flanks, always a possibility. It's just a good place to be, Vince. Not if you're TeamOne, clearly. They much prefer Dust 2. And again, that was a close affair. 16-13, the final score. We moved to Cloud9's Overpass pick and a cut above. Thus far, we're only 11 rounds deep as we hit this tech pause. But just as quickly as it hit, it subsided. Good job, production.
Everyone can't wait to get back into the game, Scrawny. It's time to get live. TeamOne. I'm not saying they have half an eye on train as our 3rd stop, but unless they start winning rounds, it's going to feel that way. And I'm right alongside with you. Overpass is definitely my favorite map to watch, cast, and play. So it's always a joy to come onto this battleground. Not too much joy if you're TeamOne right about now, as they look to stack in the bathrooms. MOTM coming up through Connector. 2 players strong, smoking over into the bathroom entrance. Going to allow some safe passage from MOTM if he wants to go for the wide peak, which he does. Good flashbang in, and Molbs never stood a chance. He was completely countered by that flash smoke combination. And our Floppy and MOTM, who had so much success on B side last round, turned their attention into bathrooms and demolish it. Maluk with only a USP by his side, the rest of his team have all abandoned him. into an early grave, and Cloud9 one step away from landing early double digits.
May have a bit of time on our hands with another tech pause, Vince. I'm okay with that. Maybe gives TeamOne a little bit of a chance to wake up a bit. It's tough, Overpass. I think that's the reality of the situation. Your opponent can pick Dust 2, and the danger of a Dust 2 pick is like, everybody knows what's going to happen on Dust 2. You know, you're opening yourself to losing your map choice if that's your consistent pick. It's hard to leave Dust 2 as your hard pick. Because, again, the challenge always lies in wait. If you can master Overpass and then force that into a series versus teams who aren't nearly as comfortable, I think we get a clear, evident example of that unfolding here right now. It's not too far gone, and maybe the T side will let our Brazilian friends set the precedent. But in the meantime, we'll have DD11 waiting. Day. Man, I try to read one name and I mess up. God damn it. Masters of Rocket League. Raven Z. The Growing Nebula. I like that. That's a good one. Oh, he's out there twice, Vince. There's two of them. He is literally growing nebulas.
Maybe a multiverse.
Oh my
I see
God.
Day as well, twice.
Man, why
My mind's 3 times. What's going on?
Dude, look how distraught some of these guys are. This must be the Brazilian fans over here. Looks like half of them are crying. Don't worry, guys. The game will get back on the road. TeamOne still have Train lying in wait in case Overpass is a blowout. And you know, TeamOne, Vince, they have impressed us in terms of certain maps, right? We look at their results as of late. Okay, Cloud9, for example, they've been playing other events, other matches in the meantime, and yeah, they've just been winning series, cookie cutter, clean. Nothing but 2-0s on the horizon here for Cloud9 versus lesser opponents. But TeamOne, even with that victory on Mirage versus Furia, which to me is like the standout result for them this tournament. Like, yes, they beat Cloud9 in 2-1, but then that map over Furia is almost worth more than a series victory over Cloud9, who were just coming off of the player break and clearly looked rusty. So, how about closing series? That's kind of the asterisk next to the story that TeamOne has been trying to unfold in front of us here. We praised some of the individuals, but in terms of results, the elusive BO3 win, I question their consistency. I do not question their talent.
It has been kind of a summary, honestly, of Cloud9 for me for quite some time. They're an org that has, I'm not going to say it has a big fall from grace, but, you know, we often mention that they are ex-major winners, albeit not with this roster, of course. But they wanted to go from the ground up. They tried, they went for a risky pick, and so far, it hasn't necessarily gone the way they were hoping for. But maybe this tournament can be something special, and OC's Flick certainly is. As we're back underway, PRT doesn't survive very long. Pacer being smashed up down to 45 HP. And if Cloud9 do take this round, they are eyeing up potentially 12 rounds on this half, and we may be headed to train very quickly indeed. MOTM, that boost is lovely, and Pacer gets finished off.
Gonna retract themselves from the B side, bomb included. You see that one working back from T-spawn. JT getting all his ducks in a row before he moves over. So a little bit of a delay, but so be it. Of course, this situation paints TeamOne into an easy save, but looking like double digits for Cloud9, that A site entirely open for the taking. And I think this kind of resets a lot of our expectations, where we had such a back and forth affair on that first map, where a couple of clutches don't happen, a forced buy win doesn't exist, and Cloud9 could have taken it for the easy 2-0 tonight. At least that's what we're left thinking because of the nature of this first half on Overpass. On a map-to-map basis, Cloud9 have absolutely turned it around. I think what promises us a good third map is the fact that we saw the train game between TeamOne and Furia. So time will tell. Also, let's be real, Cloud9 on train, dude, the rapid hits on their T sides, the speed at which they play, I think we're going to have fireworks if we get to that third map. But there is still the world where TeamOne claw this one back with the weapons they're looking to save here. The double sniper setup could poise them for maybe 4 or 5, but instead both CTs die. 3 survive for Cloud9, and a 10-3 score may be too much. They're going to have to let this one actually slip through the fingertips too. So it's looking like 4 rounds, best case scenario. And that makes me nervous. I'm not even in the server.
I suppose this is where you just have to focus on the fact you won the first map, and that does give you a little bit of breathing room. If you're behind a map in 10-3, I think you're sweating quite a bit. But PRT, some aggression with that Deagle down and connect up. Ooh, that's a spicy one tap. Can't get his hands on the weapon, isn't entirely sure if there's a second player there. But with aggression from Maluk as well, had he have landed that, things would have looked pretty sketchy indeed. Took a short turn for the better. PRT still alive, still landing. Diggs! Oh my goodness! It's a 4K for PRT, and OC is the only man left standing for Cloud9. But it may be too little too late to remedy this map, but TeamOne at least putting themselves back in this a little bit. 5 rounds on the first half could be good enough to work with if they can get that second pistol, but PRT is on for the ace.
Yeah, remember that kind of an individual, right? As I am slowly lulling you guys to sleep here, trying to hold your hand long enough for you to stick around to watch Train, let that be the reminder, okay? PRT has this. The individuals of TeamOne, absolutely nothing to write off. I mean, Cloud9 learned that lesson when they tried to charge through bathrooms at the very start of this first half. This talent is not going anywhere, except for Train, maybe. And that's where I think the conversation gets interesting again. So listen, guys, we're halfway through the lecture. Just sip your coffee, lend us your time, lend us your ears. Maybe TeamOne will just make things interesting before we move on, if we move on. At least they'll be able to end this half with all of the rifles they had picked up. 4 AKs, thank you, and the op on Maluk. You know what's wild to me, Vince, is that's half of TeamOne's round wins by way of measly pistols.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why this half of CS has felt a little bit flat after we got a really close back and forth dust too. Ultimately, when it comes to rifle rounds, it has been very, very one-sided. And had it have not been for TeamOne having early success, taking down the pistol, this would have been a complete bloodbath. It may still end up being heavily in favor of Cloud9 at 11-4, but TeamOne do have the first kill, and it's that man PRT who set the server alight in the previous round. Great flashbang in. OC puts an end to his kill streak, and now Cloud9 need to try and claw their way in with the last 40 seconds. They have OC and Sonic to accompany MOTM. They have control of the bomb and a Molotov. Narrowly missing is OC, who is 14-7. Pacer gets the drop on MOTM up close as he pulls a Molotov out, and Barton elsewhere on short side of B site is doing his best to remedy the situation. OC, though, has to come in with a miracle play. 15 seconds, 1v4, not happening. Pacer puts the final in the coffin. It's going to be 5-10 against TeamOne going into our second half.
How hard can you go? 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 How hard can you? How hard can you? How hard can you? How hard can you go? How hard can you go when the beat drop? How hard can you go when the beat drop? How hard can you go? 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 How hard can you? How hard can you? How hard can you? How hard can you go? 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 How hard can you go?
A bit of a flat half until we got to the very end, and then I raise an eyebrow. We saw some pretty big Deeg plays coming out of PRT, and then they finished with that fifth. So for a half that includes 2 eco round wins, and 2 of the 5 coming in the very final closing rounds of that first half, maybe TeamOne do have something else in store. But it's going to take a convincing pistol to get me in their side of the camp, because I know what Cloud9 have to offer on Overpass. Barton, he has thrown himself into the middle of it all and gets the 2K as he wraps back from that bathroom's frag, icing out the kill to the top of connector. So Vince, when you take into mind those last 2 rounds, and then you add on a second round pistol win, I think maybe they've got something up their sleeve.
They may very well do so. And we said this a few times about TeamOne over the duration of this tournament. It's typically their T-sides that are better because it frees them up to play that aggressive style of Counter-Strike that we know the Brazilian players are so damn good at. Alongside, of course, the Guatemalan. Can't forget Bulbs. He has been a huge part of this puzzle. But their T-sides always look sharper to me than their CT sides. So I definitely think there is a way back in. And again, sorry, Cloud9 fans, I have to say this. It is kind of part of the job, but Cloud9 had a 7-1 lead on Dust 2. They let that slip. So we know they're not necessarily a team that is 100% firing off on all cylinders as it stands. And TeamOne can maybe capitalize on any small weaknesses that they can find. They're going to have to bypass this force buy for the time being. 3 Deagles and a Scout in play with some utility and Kevlar. And JT dinked instantly, partially through the wall, which is what saves his life because he has no Kevlar. Molotov put down. It's going to force JT out into the open. He may get swung on. MOTM goes aggressively to try and bypass that situation. And now Barton going to find it's the target-rich environment. And he's going to cash in his chips while he can with the rest of his teammates. It's at the cost of 2 lives. It was pretty costly, but they can trade up those fallen weapons. No issues, no questions asked.
You know, the same way, Vince, you just brought it up, that lead that Cloud9 had on the first map. At that point, I thought, okay, Cloud9 have decided to kick it into 6th gear, and they're going to get that playoff spot with ease. And then they hiccuped. Enough for TeamOne to get into that game. When we were sitting with 3 rounds for TeamOne, I felt the exact same thing. I was ready to write off Overpass. I mean, I think that was apparent. But they're not going down without a struggle. And now they're within spitting distance of Cloud9's lead, especially considering that here versus the Pistols, they should be grabbing themselves an 8th. Now, the warning flag should be absolutely at an all-time high. You kill the counter-terrorist and saw more bodies inside this B site. They do have members here. They're going to start to get aggressive looking for their frags, but again, lesser weapons just not going to help out in the situation. So TeamOne keep 4 players up. They've got all their rifles rolling. and it's up to Cloud9 to now put an absolute end to this. Do not let another lead slip. They've got the op on OC. I anticipate him having a bit of a field day here on the upper site.
And we nearly had a repeat performance from their last best of 3, where the first map was very close. It went into overtime, and then the second 2 was stomped, 16-4, 16-5. They both went to TeamOne last time around. So I was fearing the worst for them. I thought Cloud9 were going to have their revenge, but that's not the case. This spine of TeamOne is very strong and supports another potential comeback. Damage inflicted to Sonic as he goes for the peak, but he at least puts down the smoke. That's going to stall a push, and the entirety of TeamOne are actually over here. They have no one playing map control, no one over making sure a flank's not coming in, so it seems to me, Scrawny, they're going to go for this.
Ooh, they fight Sonic through smoke, and then again, the same boost as seen in the previous round, but this time versus guns. A 5 versus 2 is all Cloud9 have left to hang on with, and they have pistols looming above their heads yet again in the next round. OC, I said he'd have a field day on the upper site, except nobody gave him a chance to kill. TeamOne absolutely avoiding him and his op. What I think is one of the key pieces to the Overpass gameplay of Cloud9's CT side. And he's looking good. See, where was this at the start of the round? If they had tried and challenged over towards Playground, maybe it would have been early frags for Cloud9. But instead, they just stack up outside the B site. Best Sonic through a smoke. The same boost as seen from the round previous. Hits the head again. And just like that, TeamOne are now 1 round away. You better take a pause.
Yeah, you better collect your thoughts and the pieces of you from that previous round, because you're going to have nothing to buy behind. No safe weapons. OC wanted to hold on to that AWP. Didn't happen. And so as it stands, you're looking at a half buy, knowing that TeamOne breathing down their necks, knowing that TeamOne made the comeback on Dust 2 and then converted it, even though Cloud9 then had a second chance when OC pulled off that 1v3. And they're unable to capitalize on that. So this is a team maybe a little bit low on confidence. You haven't seen the really crazy performances from Floppy. He has been playing well, don't get me wrong, but he is one of those players that I think a lot of NA players themselves and a lot of people that watch CS often would say is up there as one of the best NA players, or at least upcoming NA players. So you're expecting to see great things from him, and so far, he has been a little bit quiet on this half. Barton, aggression, gonna come head to head with a whole bunch of CTs, but it's a lack of a buy, so you can't really read too much into this. But what I am reading into, Scrawny, is how damn aggressive and confident TeamOne are. You would never think that they were trailing behind as bad as they were at one point. It was, what, 10-3 to Cloud9? Yep. And TeamOne, no respect shown at all.
I have no vested interest in the outcome of this game. I like to remove myself from favoritism, Vince, but what I do love is a comeback. And we already had one at the start of Dust 2. We are tied at 10, and there is nothing that tells me by watching TeamOne's aggression here that they are doubting themselves at all. If anything, I think they consider themselves favorites right in this position. You're hitting it on its head, man. The aggression we're seeing out of them, the confidence to just go for the aim fights. They may not know Overpass well enough to put up that CT side defense, but they know how to hold W, and they know how to click heads. And OC will be challenged. Finally, he's got something to maybe shoot at. Maluk could also just buy time inside of Playground. Again, it's been B, 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 again and again. That's all that TeamOne have had to utilize, and it's worked well. If they decide to shift tempos and shift their gears towards this upper site, then maybe OC can finally make a difference. He's been left like the last man standing in all too many around. This could be his big chance to try and stop the comeback. Because it's not a map win just yet for TeamOne, but it's most certainly a tie. 10 rounds to go.
Consistent B hits may have been by design to avoid OC. hoping that he went to go join them on B, but that will not be the case as he comes out swinging. There's a good flashbang, and he does land a shot onto Pacer, who somehow survives on 8 HP. Very fortunate to live to tell the tale, and with time running dry, TeamOne have got to push in. MOTM holding the line for 2. OC has gone down, an early casualty, and MOTM is still there. Floppy helping him out, warding off angles, and that should be the round to follow. Maluk with the spray, running out of ammunition. MOTM peeks in, gets his 4K. So TeamOne learned the hard way that maybe B is the way forward because A is locked down.
Yeah, first and foremost by OC with the opener, but Modem just holding off for the 4K here, dancing around the smoke grenades, just being a nuisance. And again, we talk about the discomfort that TeamOne should experience as a team that's not as perverse on Overpass. Well, you saw them trying to toy through those corners. Think about how stalled out they were by nature of the setup from Cloud9. Smoke forward, and not just one, but multiple players inside of the bathrooms. They were tiptoeing through the minefield, thinking they could get through unscathed. Now they have no legs. So they take a pause to recompose and reassemble. OC and Sonic on snipers. I wouldn't be shocked to see TeamOne go back to that B site. But at the same time, if that's your one-trick pony, you will eventually start smashing into a stack. So let's see what's in store.
Is that aggression on B side again, but Sonic is there with the AWP. His tag team partner's been neutralized, and now Barton goes back in. A solid flashbang. Floppy can't wide swing too hard because there's a Molotov there, and due to that, Maluk has easy pickings. OC now, though, fast rotating through connector with the AWP, on for yet another 1v3. Has to stand on top of the Molotov or push out into the open, and Maluk again will reap the rewards of a well-placed molly. 11 apiece, and Cloud9 not fully reset, but in an awkward position financially. They can afford a buy, thus the timeout, just to figure out exactly what pickings they're going to get. But Scrawny, I love that TeamOne just went for the jugular, straight up rushing the site again.
You know, they kind of convinced themselves that they had to go elsewhere. They tried the A site just to, mix it up a little bit. They tried to cook a different dish, Vince, but it tasted like garbage. So they went back to what they knew, the comfort food of that B bomb site, and they play it fast. There's actually a really nice piece of utility being thrown out by Maluk on these short B plays. He's bouncing a smoke grenade off of the wall, and that then pops right on Squeaky door. So anybody who's going into Squeaky, or rather into short B from the tunnels, doesn't have to worry at all about that connector swinging wide. It would take big balls from Cloud9 to try and push through that. And look at this result, man. Off of another successful B hit, it's just the scout and the one M4, and that M4's already lost 75% of his health. It gets traded into the hands of JT. They nearly line up. Barton just the one. JT gets the double they absolutely needed. They have minimal tools to work with, but they have shut down the initial efforts of TeamOne. It was a heads-up duel through the tunnel. And they're a little worried about the flank, but that is nowhere to be found. Cloud9, they've got one member on the A site and OC on the scout. These mid-round moments, Vince. The B hits have come in quick. Let's see TeamOne's nature now that they're a man down and have options open. Flashes through Monster first. PRT doesn't hyperextend just yet. It would be awful to offer over another gun.
Thing is, Cloud9 haven't spotted more than one player. Floppy's been shoulder peeking. Now the crossfire could be established, but Barton instantly popping the head off of JT. Scout player of OC comes up into heaven. Exquisite kill from MOTM, and so important at a vital moment in this round. Maluk now in an awkward position, having to go pick up the bomb again, trading across to the AK, but that drop weapon gives the information across to MOTM. He knows he's going to be called upon one more time in just a moment. And OC gets the first hack, softens up Maluk, and MOTM finishes off the rest. Cloud9, what a round to pull out the bag.
Awesome setup there from Cloud9. This is the starting play. JT, who takes the M4 because of the initial spam damage that rocked the original M4 holder. Then we get that 3-man setup from Cloud9. They had just the M4 still in the mix on Modem. That's the second time it had been passed over. JT first, then Modem. What comes of it, Vince? Oh my God. CTs looking away from Monster. Nobody was actually holding the Monster walkout because they assumed, correctly, that TeamOne would only push through off of a flashbang. And the moment that flashbang popped, everybody then turned. There was barely any actual hold. It was all based on the counter flash. Then all of a sudden, you've got 3 Ts sitting in no man's land and you effectively trade train your way to Modem standing tall. He had to feed over his 2 teammates, but he strung together the frags so well that it worked out. So we look back at that first half where, yeah, TeamOne, they win 2 of their 5 rounds with a bye like the one that Cloud9 just survived with. So now the round count in rounds that shouldn't have been, it's 2-1. TeamOne still have that slight edge, but the lead itself belongs to Cloud9, and it seems like TeamOne want to try and challenge A-Site. Last time they got shut down in bathrooms because of the forward setup of OC, but the timing on this double long play could be massive. Cloud9 could already afford a rotation, but look at Modem. He's going to peek out, gets the confirmation. Good thing he didn't extend because him and JT instead hold the line. OC dies. That's the Opper removed from the situation, but there's still an A-hold that can stand tall if given the chance. Minute on the clock, and everyone from TeamOne working their way closer.
Luke has dropped JT though, and that puts a lot more pressure on MOTM. He doesn't need to overextend, just stay alive. Flashbang is not going to survive this defense at all. It's not going to keep them living. Floppy comes back in with the M4, but he is the difference maker. We said he's a player that can turn it on his head. He's a special one, and he's just shown why. Those 3 kills may have just secured them this map.
We're getting it. We're getting the individuals that absolutely shine best when Cloud9 are hitting their strides. We have had Modem inside bathrooms with that 4K guarding OC. Modem down on that pillar of B-site, locking it down in the 2vx situation, and now it's Floppy to just come running up onto that A site and take absolute control. If Modem and Floppy are having good games, then Cloud9 will rip through you. Moms, Desert Eagle kill to kick it off. And that's all that TeamOne have to work with. 5 Desert Eagles coming into this. A frag grenade to call out the boost. Could have been worse. The T's have those 3 flashes, and they're all grouping up outside of B. Another one of those scary moments where if they can just tear off the heads of Sonic and JT, then this B site could have a bomb plant on it soon enough. But seeing that kill on Barton, we have the counter-terrorist now shuffling a 3rd set of feet down towards B. JT committed to the side of this, gets the warning sign of Pesa, a very difficult angle to just walk peek into. Maluk, oh, he could have just gotten 2, but instead Sonic holds it off long enough for his teammates to show up, and PRT has a difficult clutch ahead.
Feels it's now impossible, and that flashbang couldn't have better timed. PRT, though, has already had a few spicy 1Ds. There are a couple more before he's depleted for this map. Molotov singeing his toes, down to 23 now. 1 bullet and he's a goner. And he obviously wants to die before time as well, because he actually wants enough of the rifle. So he's going to have to go in for this, and fair enough. He effectively suicides, puts him up to 5.8k. We're going to have a buy from TeamOne. May call a timeout as well. They have done just that, knowing that this is effectively their last chance to secure Overpass. If they concede this round after the force, they're going to have very little in surplus and reserve. And Cloud9, if they win this, will have 4 map points. You can see the top fraggers are Barton one more time, has really impressed. 88 ADR. And over on Cloud9, it's OC and Floppy who are at the top of the scoreboard. But it is pretty tight, actually. It's not as if one player is just completely running away with this. You have 4 or 5 players that are around that same 20 mark.
Yeah, the top performers on each team kind of clashing here, and then a couple members on both sides playing a bit of catch-up. TeamOne having had tied this map turning heads for what looked like an absolute dud of a second map in this series. They had 5 rounds at the start of the half, 2 at the end of the first one. So that was a 7-round spree, 8 out of 9. If you take into account the back and forth nature, but off of that kill, they're not going to look to waste any time. They've used this boost to screw over the sight hold, but look at that, JT from just beneath it, almost able to kill those players. Modem, he has found success. Floppy, he gives chase, almost getting Maluk deep down through Monster as well. 3v3, and the Operas arrived in OC, perfectly timed on the peak, almost able to get another, but it's Barton to hold off, and Malbs, oh, he catches the flank. That opens up everything for TeamOne.
JT still alive though, still decent HP and could have the element of surprise. Yet to get on the scoreboard for this round. Not entirely sure as to where he currently is, but he's caught with a knife up, but so's Malbs. They walk into each other, it's so awkward. But fortunately for Malbs, Barton was there to lend him a hand. And TeamOne will get their 12th. Oh, Cloud9's economy is ruined as well, Connor. It seems like we may even go the distance. This could go the full 30.
Are you ready for that, Vince?
I am so ready, man. We have one best of 3 today, so if this goes the distance, I am completely fine with that outcome.
Good to know. Cloud9, 1 timeout remaining after this one. And a difficult spot to be in terms of the cash. I'm curious, what do they come out with? You know, the consistency of the B starts lends me to think, like, how about a good old connector stack? You know? Good CT-sided connector stack. You throw 4 rats down into the tunnels and see what they can feast upon. But again, you know, I think back to that smoke grenade from Maluk that so effectively cuts off the squeaky door from stopping a fast B hit. You could also just kind of leave yourself scratching your heads as the round crumbles around you. But look at this. They don't go down connector, instead staying at the top.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a counter flash into a middle peak. If they see flashbangs, HEs, or someone around balloons, they flash over and they try and swarm in. And they keep their options open for potential connector play as well. I actually really like this setup for Cloud9. I don't think it's going to be successful, but there is the flashbang. Maluk can't see anything, but they haven't finished them off quick enough. They needed that insta double dink. And they nearly get 2 kills out of it, which really, for a full USP round, would have been solid. Doesn't end up happening. TeamOne bypassed any potential embarrassment. But now Cloud9, that save affords them a bye here. Can they make this work, though, Scrawny? Because if they don't, TeamOne will have the advantage economically, momentum-wise. This is a huge moment in this match. Yep. This could be the game-determining round for TeamOne.
And it doesn't look like they rely on Old Faithful. Oh my God, called out by the numbers here. Cloud9, they're in a prime spot to try and lock down this A-hold from the front. And it's OC to connect the first one. Modem, he's the guy that gets the kill, but JT swings out, and the trades work perfectly, keeping Modem alive and giving Cloud9 a 15th round, it seems. Malbs, 1v4. Shuts down Modem first. JT gets the job done. 3 frags from the South African as he swings wide off long A. JT right here, finding the perfect bit of timing, Vince. If he jumps too soon, he could have died from the players in playground. That would have opened up his party sniper to just absolute death. Instead, Cloud9 lock it down. But it's hard to sing praise for Cloud9 when they were sitting comfortably at a 10-3 lead to the 10-5 half, to the ridiculous round count of TeamOne adding up, and now we're close somehow. Match point Cloud9. Excuse me, map point Cloud9. TeamOne 2 chances to bring this into OT. I have a hunch that seeing as in their minds they have to realize that this map could have been over ages ago. Just go back to that B site. Go back to what got you this far.
A lot of credit, though, to Cloud9 for that very reason. B site has been attacked so many times. To have the balls, the courage to call a triple player stack because they had the spawn for it. It's the kind of play that you only go for if you have the spawns. They had the spawn, they called it. Imagine if TeamOne just rushed B. The round is pretty much the Brazilians at that point. It'd be 2-player defense. It would have been so hard to fend off a 2v5. So, courageous call, and they have cultivated the round. OC missing out on his opportunity, but was flashbang, so he's just going to dip out of there. Completely fine. He's got the intel he was looking for. And now MOTM moves up close. They are giving up banana control, but they have put down smokes to funnel away the T's from playing aggressively so they can focus their attention on long. But at some point, this is going to have a sell-by date. This value is going to run out. Once those smokes clear, MOTM is going to be left alone. Morbs is moving in. There's a player down just below him.
Oh!
He flicks to the first. That flick onto Floppy was absolutely phenomenal. But Sonic's position is too good. He dips, he runs out of there. It's a hit and run, but it's a 4v4 with 35 seconds left, and the T's are making moves over on B again.
Yeah, they've sold this fake well enough. Look, Cloud9, they're getting wind of it. Now they have to hustle back into the B site. They're looking to have eyes in heaven. Maluk, he just needs to get that bomb plant. He has the CZ, so his life after the fact, not as valuable. And OC doesn't even give him room to wiggle. He is standing on the bomb as his knees collapse. And a 4 versus 3 retake attempt here for Cloud9 to close their map pick, to bring us into Train, where it's anybody's game. JT trades, PRT, looking for his chance to strike, but so many counter-terrorists that he gets the headshot. There's the second kill, a third one thanks to Barton, and the post-plant gets them their 14th round, Vince. They've got post-pants on, man. The post-pants.
The postman pants and delivering themselves around. That's what Scrawny was going for, 100%.
Yeah, they've gone ahead and they've grabbed their britches, pulled them all the way up to their nipples. They're just trying to walk through the mud without getting their clothes too dirty, because that's what this is, a fight in the mud at that B site.
Oh yeah. And TeamOne clearly just wanted it that little bit more. Cloud9. To take us to overtime, TeamOne have got to best an MP9, M4, and a Scout. But Cloud9 have won similar rounds to this on their CT side. Will TeamOne go for another B hit straight away? I am so curious to see what their play is going to be. As you coined it, Connor, it's Old Faithful. They're not going to necessarily fully go for this, and the fact that bomb has been dropped is a declaration to me that it's not going to be a rush. You want to take the bomb with you. If you're going to rush onto the site, you want to make sure that there's no chance of flank can just take the bomb down and win the round off that. They went for a double nade as well, by the way, on the stack over on Graffiti. It's a position that a lot of teams in this kind of a buy will go for. I like the read from TeamOne, but no one was home from Cloud9.
Come on, give us a little more OT. I'm so for it. At the same time, I'd love to just see Cloud9 close this so we get Train. I think Train could give us fireworks. I think like we wouldn't have as a limited of a TeamOne, but they have kind of shaken off the discomfort of Overpass. I like the proactive play here. Cloud9 hearing the flashbangs start to pop, hearing TeamOne working their way closer to the A site. They have found excellent timing on this flank. Oh, it's just OC. He has to slow them down long enough so that this flank can actually come into fruition. And I like that they stagger it. It's going to be Modem first and then Floppy just a little bit later. And oh no, Modem, he almost gets a kill, but look at the damage. There's so much damage. Sonic, he's got players to line up. And Floppy, still unbeknownst to TeamOne, is right behind them. Shuts down the bomb carrier, gets back into cover. But in the meantime, they are doing so much damage. 20 seconds left over. They have to move their foot closer towards this A site. JT, if he can just stop the plant, this would be incredible. But they are going to get themselves onto the site. He could line it up. Still, there's a chance, but he shoots just a little too high. The bomb's gone down, and now it is dire. A 15th round for TeamOne. It's OT, baby.
There were 2 or 3 opportunities for Cloud9 though. That first flank from MOTM, if he has an M4 over the MP9, I think he gets both plays, and that's the bomb drop. And that's likely the round that follows in. It takes away all of that emphasis and the engage over on A site, and that allows the CTs to wrap into Bathroom and Banana and pincer onto that bomb. Very unfortunate, but as you called correctly, Scrawny, he did so much damage, deserved more result from that. But that's all in the past. In the here and now, it's overtime. And it's a ton of Molotovs and smoke's blotting out the sun. Smoke all over the place, and Sonic is going to do his best to put on the mask and go to work, and he will collect with 3 kills, giving Cloud9 a golden opportunity to get back into this round. It's going to be a post plant more than likely, although PRT is taking his sweet time. There was a chance when the molly was down, he could have got it done a little bit sooner, but hey, better late than never. He still gets it planted. Retake position's not ideal for the terrorists. They're clumped together in the backside of the site, and JT goes and neutralizes both, but Sonic 3K was the difference maker. If he falls down with only taking 1 player, that round likely goes the way of the T's.
And to think how many times, you know, JT and Sonic on this B site have kind of come up short while TeamOne were adding their round count to the board. So now to just have that rock solid hold in an overtime round, massive. More often than not, Cloud9 were relying on a rotation and a retake to that B site. Well, the retake comes through thanks to JT, but it was set up, as you said, by Sonic. Huge 3K for him. Double sniper setup coming out of Cloud9 here in their second CT overtime round. Already, we have TeamOne clumped up on that B site. 5 players ready to rock through Monster. But because of this early information play from Cloud9, they can justify moving JT back down as fast as he can move. Sonic has to give up his angle ever so slightly. A consistency, this boost. Vince, they'll try it again.
The CTs read this, though. They can see the mollies and the flashes being tossed over. It doesn't seem like they're actually going to go for that boost. Instead, they toss in the nades, and Floppy, fully flashed, still finds the kill, still holds the line. Sonic comes through with 2 of his own, and JT's going to put the bullets down range onto Molbs. So the player advantage isn't actually in favor of the CTs, but Maluk through the floor. Dispatching of JT, murders him, puts him into the ground, and now MOTM and OC have the fast flank. MOTM is going to get the drop on PRT, and Maluk's position was so compromised. So Cloud9 pick up the first 2 rounds of overtime and take it 17-15. Will they get the clean sweep, though?
Man, they have made themselves work way harder than they ever had to. This is the map that should have been done ages ago. TeamOne fighting tooth and nail to make Cloud9 gas out here towards the end of it all. But it went from the 3K from Sonic and 2 kills of JT into the team ace for Cloud9 in that last round. Double snipers again. And everybody's hitting form for Cloud9. That's what bodes so well for them. Incredibly close across the scoreboard. Modem, he's going to go for the same play, the same aggression that let them stack up that B site, but this time it does not work. The round previous, it was completely clear, and the T's got nothing other than the stack set against them. They try to deal with it early, and it works out perfectly. If they can get 1 T round, then there's still a chance that they can win in OT. Let's see if they can close in the 5v2.
Oof. Mobs with his second of the round. A brisk headshot delivered in connector. The thing is, on regulation, both teams had a far superior T side to their CT side, so I'd already argue that Cloud9 are in much better shape as a result of that. Even if they do concede this round, as they have with Maluk's op shot onto Floppy well flashed, I still do fear the worst for TeamOne, because they started, if you remember, you said this yourself, Scrawny, it was something like 10-4, and 2 of the 4 rounds were off pistol rounds. So most of those rifle rounds were going the way of Cloud9 on their T side. And that's what I'm a little bit sketchy with on TeamOne. Have they been able to figure out what went wrong? And have they been able to put the fixes in place in enough time?
Will not be an easy task. That much I can tell you. Whether they can pull it off is up to them. Frag grenades go soaring over short. Early damage done. Sonic, because he's tucked behind the smoke, didn't quite see the boost. Had they stuck around for a moment longer, then maybe Barton with a health advantage could have gotten the 5v4. But instead, both teams kind of drop away from the engagement. Bottom, he has a Molotov land on his feet. The smoke tells the CTs exactly what they need to know. Floppy, he gets 1 and Sonic the second. The CTs tried to make a proactive play on this B site, and they have paid the price.
Sometimes aggression does more harm than good. And TeamOne on the receiving end of that today, it seems multiple times on their CT side. Sonic is tagged. They still have 3 Molotovs, but interestingly, 0 smokes. So they're going to have to put those mollies into good positions. It's not as if TeamOne, though, is swimming in utility. It's all centralized on Maluk, who is going to hold on with his AWP. Throws down the smoke to buy up time, but now they're going to start to realize that this has no bearing on A. The bloodshed is going to be spilt over on the B side. Molotov's charging in. Sonic comes in for the entry, but gets swatted away from Pacer, who goes in for one more. 1v1, and OC flicking to Maluk is going to give Cloud9 2 map points.
Nicely done by OC. I mean, as the opper that's constantly on A, he knows the timings, Vince. He anticipates Maluk, who had revealed his presence at the A site by shutting down that one bathroom's lurker. So he predicts the heaven peak. Bang. Just like that. As you said, 2 map points for Cloud9 to move us on to Train, where it's anybody's game. They're going to try and clash here at the top of the A site. A missed op shot from Maluk. Not the way you'd want to start. Now they'll have to do it with the 4v5. PRT gun back out. Oh, and he gives cover versus Modern, who tries to get hyper aggressive. Not only getting the kill, but also getting Pesa out of trouble if he were to just leave. I can't believe he's decided to stick around here. It looks like he wants to walk away with the man advantage, but he's got to keep himself down. That's the op that was looking for the shot to grab back their slight edge. Sonic, he has slipped through Monster. 2 defenders on the bomb site, but they're not in the best of positions. The flash hits them in the eyes. Barton dies. Floppy has done enough, it seems, or has he? PRT coming in quickly with 1 kill, but he tries to throw himself through the smoke, and unless Pesa comes in with a massive clutch, it is Cloud9 pushing the game to Train, and he is slain as Floppy goes big to close.
Such a back and forth, topsy-turvy map. I felt like, again, similar to Dust 2, both teams had a real shot at winning this game. It was incredibly close. It wasn't always the most effective or efficient Counter-Strike, if we're being honest, but how do you possibly predict how Train is coming down here, Scrawny? I have absolutely no idea.
I don't think you can. We had that 6-1 lead at the start of Dust 2. We had that 10-3 lead on Overpass. At multiple times throughout this game, it's looked like these things have been over, and there's just these crazy resurgences of performance. So listen, we've got tournament life on the line, playoffs for one of these 2 teams, and only 1 map separates them from elimination or a continuation here at DreamHack Open Summer 2020. Our analysts break down Overpass after the break, and Train's up next.
Although TeamOne fought tooth and nail, Cloud9 prove it's not over till it's over. They claimed their map pick of Overpass 1916, and with that, we are going to a 3rd. It's all on the line, but Christine, TeamOne aren't making this easy.
They're not. They're swinging back, and right when it matters most, because, you know, there was certain points in this map where Cloud9 absolutely looked like they were going to run away with it. But actually, you know, I really appreciated some of the looks that TeamOne had, especially on the T side of things. Sure, Cloud9, they absolutely looked like the better team through and through, but we knew that going in beforehand. TeamOne, we haven't seen much of Overpass, and there was some great looks coming out from them.
There really were. I'm just taking a look at the match statistics as well. We can see over on the side of Cloud9, the kill disparity. I mean, there's not much really in it. We were looking at Floppy to be stepping up in this series, Blair, and I feel like he did alongside with OC and of course MOTM.
Yeah, I mean, Floppy being consistently good so far in the series, it's a good sign, but I don't know. I'm not convinced. You're 10-3 up, and you switch over to the easiest side on your map pick, a map you're very comfortable on, and you just get abused on the B bomb side. I mean, kudos to TeamOne. They were just ripping that bomb side apart, especially PRT, just those entries along with Barton, just some nasty stuff. But there were a lot of holds there. I was shocked Cloud9 were not able to shut it down. And there were a couple of rounds, like, for example, where they got a little lucky, I felt like. And I feel if TeamOne had kept hitting the B bomb side, we could be over. This game could be over. It could have been a 2-0.
It could have been a completely different story indeed. But Christine, you've got a moment that you want to focus in on.
Yes, I need to break down this round. The score line right now, it's 10-8, and this was such a great look coming out from TeamOne. I'm gonna pause it here, just take a look right here on this part of the map where Sonic is, and take a look here. They have 2 Molotovs and a full set of utility coming out for TeamOne, and this was an insane execute coming out. You're gonna see Pesa here throw this Molotov down, it draws Sonic out, and there's the free kill onto that. And also Pesa, while boosted, finds a frag here. All this utility, all this action. If we can just go to the point of view of the players, you're gonna see how blind people are. You're gonna see exactly the pace of movements here, throwing that Molotov down, double flash, getting boosted. And because all this utility is coming, it draws the rotations, the mobility on the CT side, allowing Pesa to get a kill. PRT knows that Sonic is gonna be pushed off that angle by the Molotov, throws a quick spam in, and kills him off. So once again, as Blam mentioned, this was the B bomb site getting bombarded, and it was TeamOne completely controlling it, but they kind of stopped going towards that B. And I get it, I get it. Once you hit B a certain amount of times, you feel like, surely I can't go there again. So I totally get it, but I could see a world where TeamOne hits B just the one more time and we don't see this OT happening.
Yeah, I know we were talking a little bit about it beforehand, but obviously going into Train, this is the third and final deciding map, and I'm wondering where you're standing on this, Blair.
Oh, this is odd. This is honestly odd. I love what TeamOne are doing. The way they're playing just balls out Counter-Strike. They don't give a damn. They're Cloud9, fine, legendary organization. They don't give a damn at all. Just a no-respect style of play they brought on the T side. You're losing already. They don't give up. They keep fighting tooth and nail. I'm still going to say it should be Cloud9, but boy, oh boy, they're not making it easy for themselves.
They're really, really not. And I feel like we needed to talk about TeamOne a little bit going into this, Christine. What are your expectations for them?
I'm expecting just as much aggression. When we saw them versus Furia, they were able to go toe-to-toe. They demanded Furia to sit back and hold more passive lines, more passive angles. So if Cloud9 aren't careful and they're not polished in their forward proactive plays on the defensive side, then TeamOne are certainly going to punish that. So this Train, it is all up in the air for me right now.
It really is indeed. And I'm interested to see if there's any players that you two think we should be really looking out for in this series, because I feel like we've seen a lot of people standing up.
For me, it has to be Maluk, right? He had a quiet overpass, but if that guy pops off with the scout with the AWP, and for me, the other person for Cloud9 has to be OC. I want to see these two operas go at it. It's going to be fantastic.
Well, it's going the full distance in this final series of the day. And at one map apiece, it's still all to play for. Train is coming up after this.